Hi guys, what's up? It's Maddie, and I am going to be filming possibly one of my last pregnancy updates. I don't do them super consistently because unless there's something to talk about, I don't feel the need to get on and be like, hey, I'm still pregnant. So yes, I'm filming this. Tomorrow I will be 34 weeks pregnant, so we're getting really close. I am nesting like crazy. Baby girl's due date is April 16th, so we are getting close, and I am just so excited. I also get a little nervous, but then I get really excited, and then I'm scared, and then I'm, it's a lot of emotions. For me, the biggest thing is just not knowing when I'm gonna go into labor. Not that I'm worried I won't be at home or anything, because the mask mandate is about to be lifted in Texas. I already don't go out much, but I definitely will not be going out anywhere after it's lifted. So even if we just need a couple things from the store, I'll be paying the $5 to do the curbside because I am not, no. Overall, I've been pretty good. Sleep has become a lot more difficult for me. Just getting comfortable at this point in pregnancy. You know, I'm big. And then my hips tend to hurt how I'm laying. So I'm trying to do like more back support. Like I sleep on my side with a pillow between my legs. So yeah, sometimes my hips just hurt. It's been my left one since like my second trimester that has bothered me a little bit. But I've also been doing like pregnancy yoga and stuff like that, and that's been really helpful with that. Sometimes it pops and I'm like, yes, it feels so good. So yes, another reason that I've been having issues with sleep is I have been having really bad heartburn, and I have not had heartburn until I was like 32 and a half weeks pregnant. And one night I was in bed and I woke up and I was like, I think I threw up in my mouth a little, and everything just burns. It's heartburn. So I am on Tums, and then I can take Tums as needed, and they started me on Nexium, which is like a preventative thing, because I was not able to sleep. I was just sitting up in bed miserable, and yeah. So I got extra strength Tums, and they're like chewable, so they're not chalky, so those have been really helpful. And then the Nexium takes a couple days. But yeah, that just hasn't been my favorite at all. It's uncomfortable. They also told me to sleep elevated, but I'm like, I can't. I can't. But I'm trying. It's just hard. The next thing, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. I knew that I was at a higher risk for it. My maternal grandmother had type 2 diabetes, so that puts me at an increased risk. And then I was also overweight before I got pregnant. I thought I looked good, but medically speaking, I was considered overweight. So yeah, that put me at higher risk of it. You need to get down. I'm watching her neighbor's cat, and she has no manners. No manners. Stop. Stop. So yes, I knew I had it before I did the 2 tests. The first one, you don't have to fast, or the second one is a fasting. I felt like crap for like a day after the fasting one. I had gotten up at 7:30, wasn't allowed to actually eat food until 1 p.m. that day. The hospital kind of like dragged their feet having me start the test, which really sucked. And then basically gave me a candy bar. You know, that's what that drink is. So as a diabetic, that was a really like, it was a spike in blood sugar, a really big spike, and then like a really big drop. And so I didn't feel good even the whole next day. Like we came home and I was just in bed, and then the next day I was pretty much in bed. Like I felt like absolute crap. So yes, I have gestational diabetes. I am able to control it with diet and exercise, so it has not been bad. I didn't have to make too many changes to my diet because once I found out I was pregnant, I didn't completely switch how I was eating, but I did switch up a lot. I wasn't the best before I got pregnant, and then once I got pregnant, I was like, okay, it's time to eat good. So the biggest thing, I've just had to cut back on my fresh fruit, and if I eat fresh fruit, eating it with something like nuts, or you know, working out afterwards, drinking plenty of water. My blood sugar is supposed to be less than 120 2 hours after each meal. I'm usually in the 70s or 80s, so I'm doing fantastic. My fasting lab in the morning is supposed to be less than 100. It's usually about 95 to 100, or it's supposed to be less than 90. So I'm a little bit over there, but not high enough for them to do anything. And they said that that's okay, because it's not really something I can control. If it was really, really high, or, you know, but I'm not high. I'm pretty much high every morning, but they give us really strict parameters, and they're like, there is a little bit of wiggle room, but we want y'all to be like strict with it because, you know, it's what's best for your baby. So I was like, okay. So yeah, I pricked my fingers, and everyone was like, they're going to get sensitive. It's, you know, they're going to hurt. They don't. I usually use these 3. Really doesn't bother me anymore at this point. I just poke it. It takes me like less than a minute to check my blood sugar. Really not difficult. It's not like I have to do it for super long anyway, so I'm good. The first time I went to poke my finger, I started freaking out for some reason, and my mom was going to do it for me. And I was like, oh my God, wait. Like, I almost had a panic attack, which like sounds so dramatic and stupid. I know, but it's like a little unnerving to be like, I'm about to send a needle into my own finger. And my mom just grabbed my finger and did it. And I was like, oh. And she was like, I knew I just had to grab it and do that. You're fine. So I do it now, no problem. And check it. Stay on top of it. Yeah, the only problem I have is sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. I have been having a little bit of pregnancy insomnia too. Sometimes I'm not even having heartburn, but I wake up and I can't go back to sleep. And I'm not supposed to eat in the middle of the night because that throws off. Like, I'm supposed to check my blood sugar 4 times a day. You know, you're eating 3 meals, so it's fasting and then 2 hours after each meal. And so it's really hard when I'm like starving in the middle of the night and I'm like, I need to go back to bed, but I've been awake for 3 hours. And then it's like, do I just get up? And it's like, well, I only slept for 3 hours. I've been awake for 3. And it's also like 5 a.m. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. I do have down a pretty good relaxing night routine that I follow, but you know, pregnancy insomnia is just something that you struggle with sometimes. I also want to say with gestational diabetes, I thought, like, once I found out I had it, I was really upset, and I was like, what could I have done differently? And they were like, honestly, nothing. You could have even been following the diabetic diet up to this point and still have it. Like, that's just the way it is. My future pregnancies, I will be started on the diabetic diet. Like, as soon as I find out I'm pregnant, they'll do the glucose test earlier in my pregnancy, and I'll probably be checking my blood sugars throughout. But since I'll already be on the diabetic diet, like, it'll just go better. I am borderline. I'm right on that tipping point of my body's not producing enough insulin. So I do have it, but it's not super bad. So yeah. I was worried, though, with her being a diabetes baby, of her being big. And I have been measuring big since my 21-week scan. Well, my belly wasn't measuring big at that point. She was measuring big on the ultrasound. She, on my 21-week scan, was a week and a half ahead in length and a week ahead in weight from what they could tell from the scan, which aren't super accurate. They're pretty good, but they're not, like, great. And then I've been measuring ahead ever since then. My bump has, well, a couple weeks after that, my bump started measuring ahead, which if my bump was measuring normal and she was measuring big and now my bump's measuring big, how big is she? You know, it's like this whole mental thing there. I'm like, oh my God. But they're like, no, that's not how that works, because they get more, the belly measurements get more accurate the bigger you get. So I was like, okay, cool. Because I didn't show for like ever, and now I feel like I'm huge. So I am measuring 2 weeks ahead. My last appointment, I was 33 weeks, and I was measuring 35 weeks. And I was like, I'm scared. Like, I have diabetes, and she's been measuring big. However, she started measuring big before I had the diabetes. Her dad is giant. If you guys don't know, I'm 5'2", and my boyfriend is 6'7". So, and he's just a very large man. and I am a tiny human. So yeah, like my belly is so round and like out because she doesn't have any more room to go this way. She's been kicking me in the ribs for a couple weeks, and I was like, I didn't think she was supposed to be kicking me in the ribs, and they were like, well, you have a really tiny torso, and then you're also like, his genetics play a role in her size too. And I was like, cool. Great. So Jacob was over 2 feet long when he was born, and he was almost 11 pounds, or he was almost 12 pounds? He was a giant baby, okay? And then me having diabetes, his mom did not have gestational diabetes. So I'm just like, oh my God, I'm scared. So I brought up these concerns at my last appointment, and they said that even though I'm measuring 2 weeks ahead, that's really not that much. That's not something where they're like concerned, because I went and saw this diabetic nurse that was like helping me figure out my diet and like changes I need to make. And she was like, I would just plan to have a scheduled C-section. That's probably what they're gonna wanna do because of your diabetes. And I was like, why? Like, I got really upset about it and really freaked out because I don't want a scheduled C-section. Listen, I want to say something before we go down this. I see so many women on TikTok that are like shaming moms that get C-sections or shaming moms that get induced, and like, you need to let your body do it on its own. And like, there's all this shame, and like, I do understand that there are doctors that will force women to do things that they don't want to do when it comes to giving birth and their pregnancies. And I am all for empowering women to advocate for themselves. I am not for shaming moms and how they choose to give birth. If a woman wants a scheduled C-section and they decide that's what's best for her, that's not my place. I am not a medical professional. I don't know the whole situation. That is not my place. Personally, I want to push her out. I do not want a C-section, and I really don't want to be induced. These are personal things for me, and I would never shame another woman who chooses to be induced, who chooses whatever. I don't want a C-section because of the longer recovery time, and I was kind of upset because I was like, if I have to walk into the hospital, like not in labor, and then just lay down and have my baby, like that's not what I want. I want to go through the labor. I want to push her out. Like that is what I envisioned for my birth plan. So I'm still not sure if I'm getting the epidural or not. I'll probably end up getting it, but that is what I envisioned, and to be told that may not happen is really hard. I also don't want to be induced because I have heard that those contractions can be a lot more intense, and it's just, I want my body to do it on its own. I want to have as natural of a birth as possible, and y'all might be like, an epidural though. That's what I want. If that's what I want, that's what I want. And I think that as long as you are giving birth in a safe way, it is no one's place to shame you. Okay? That's all I gotta say. If you are giving birth to a baby and it's your baby, you gotta say. Everyone else needs to shut up. Like, I don't know. Jacob is like, I think you're gonna get the epidural, and I think you should get it. And I'm like, okay. Thanks for your opinion. And I'll get into, I ended up falling and having really bad Braxton Hicks and how he handled that. We'll get into that. So he's like, I think that's going to be the best bet, but I'll let you decide. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Good plan. So yeah, but I went into my midwives and I was like, I really don't want a scheduled C-section. Like, am I measuring that big ahead? And they were like, girl, you've only been 2 weeks ahead. It's not that big of a deal. You're fine. Chill. Like, pipe down. Also, I have gained a little bit more weight than I was supposed to. So I weighed 155 when I first got pregnant, lost 10 pounds, gained it back. And then now I weigh 180. So 25 pounds. I was supposed to gain 15 to 25 my whole pregnancy, and I've already gained 25 and still have 6 weeks left. So I'm not doing too bad, but my mom was saying she gained way more than that with each of her pregnancies, and she was fine and had healthy babies. So like, every woman's different. But yeah, I was freaking out, and they were like, okay, no, take it down a notch. And I was like, okay. So they're not concerned that she's going to be a big baby. They're not concerned that I'm going to need a scheduled C-section or even to be induced. They were like, no, like she's good, you're good. As long as one of us doesn't go into distress or something crazy happen, they're like, there's no need for us to schedule a C-section. There's no need for us to schedule to induce you. Your body will do what it needs to do. And especially with me keeping my blood sugar within normal limits, I'm not going to have, they call them sugar babies, where they get really big because of your blood sugar issues. And I was like, okay. And she was like, you're not at risk for having a big baby compared to a woman that doesn't have gestational diabetes because you're keeping your sugar in check. And I was like, okay, that does make sense. At my next appointment, they are going to do an ultrasound just to help calm my fears. They were like, we'll just schedule you for a growth scan, see how she's measuring on the ultrasound. Again, not super accurate. They're like, sometimes we're off by a pound, sometimes a couple. And you know, the ultrasound isn't the best indicator, but we can look, make sure that she looks good because I'm worried about it. And I was like, okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you. Gotcha. So as long as I don't like all of a sudden explode and get giant or, you know, or start having other issues, we are set for me to push her out, which I am very happy about. So yes, I'll be having that scan at my next appointment. They're also going to recheck my iron level. I was borderline anemic last time I went, and they told me I didn't need to start taking iron yet, but they're going to recheck it and make sure that I am good on my iron before I go to give birth, because you don't want to be anemic when you give birth. I'm also going to be having my GBS swab test, which I see so many women freak out about online. I'm not following that. You're going to push a baby out and you're scared of a Q-tip going in your butt. Like, okay. Okay, I'm not worried about it. It's going to be fine. Whatever. Like, yeah, go ahead. So I mentioned that I ended up falling. I'm a little clumsy. I was clumsy before I got pregnant, and then having this big belly and like, you know, all that. I was getting up off our ottoman to go sit on the couch, and I was standing up and wasn't standing quite all the way, and I went to step back and tripped over my own feet. I swear I tripped over a dog toy, but there was not a dog toy in sight. So I tripped myself and fell on my butt, and I maybe fell from 2 feet up, maybe 3. I mean, I'm short. My legs aren't even 3 feet. Are they? No, I'm only 5'2". So I maybe fell from 2 feet up, okay? And I just hit my butt. And I kind of started laughing at first, but I had like tensed and tried to catch myself and like lean forward. And I didn't smash my bump or anything, but the way I tensed was really uncomfortable. And I had not had Braxton Hicks up to this point. And so I like get up and I get on the couch, and I was like, ooh, that does not, I'm like cramping, and I started to panic a little bit, and I was like, okay, like, am I going to start bleeding? Am I going into labor? Like, oh my God. So I started panicking. So I called my mom. Jacob was there, but he was like, you just fell? So I called my mom, and she comes over and she's like, okay, you got to calm down because you're just going to make the Braxton Hicks worse. Like, that's probably all it is. You're okay. So I calmed down, goose frabud myself, you know, woof. And I was like, okay. And then I was just going to like stay at home and try to go to bed. Well, my mom looked up, and it was like any fall, even if it's not from very far, even if it's under your butt, can cause issues. It can cause like issues with your placenta tearing off, like all that stuff. So I was like, okay. So I called labor and delivery, and I was like, hey, I fell, and explained to them. And they were like, you should probably come in just so we can make sure they are Braxton Hicks, just so we can make sure that she's doing good. They asked me if she was moving, and I was like, yeah, she's actually been moving a lot since I fell. And they were like, that's actually a good thing. So I went in, excuse me. I had to go up alone because I was just being like triaged until I was admitted. Jacob couldn't come up with me. So I was there for about an hour. They said that sometimes their falls will keep you for up to 4 hours if things aren't looking good, but my blood pressure was normal. Her movements were normal. Her heart rate was great. They, like I said, they had me on the monitors, and I mean, we just looked fabulous. So they were like, okay, you're good to go home. It's just Braxton Hicks. I did have my first cervix check. So the doctors that I'm seeing don't do cervix checks until you're in active labor. I'm seeing midwives, and there's really no need for cervix checks until you're in active labor. And then some women are like, you really don't need them then. I am going to choose to have them while I'm in active labor, just so I know I'm progressing, and to see, you know, it'll be like motivation, I guess. I don't know. That's my plan right now. But they don't do cervix checks until you need to, because they really don't indicate anything when you get them before. You can hang out at 4 centimeters dilated or 2 for a month. Like, it doesn't matter. If y'all are curious about that, I would recommend doing your own research into it. I'm not a medical professional, but I have been advised by my nurse family partnership nurse, and my doctors are just like, we don't need to do it. You're good. They try to stay out of that area as much as possible because you're growing a baby, and yeah. So my cervix check, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I did have a yeast infection. So that part was uncomfortable because I was irritated down there. And my cervix, she has not dropped at all. So when your baby drops, your cervix comes down. My cervix is still like way back up in there. So what was most uncomfortable, because like, it's gonna be graphic, but they put their fingers in and like feel, it was around the outside because she was having to push so hard to get her fingers in deep enough. That's where it was most uncomfortable for me. And then it was just uncomfortable because like my walls were irritated, my vaginal walls. Inside though, where she was actually feeling my cervix, wasn't bad. I've heard a lot of women say that it's painful. It really varies woman to woman. Like, there's a lot going on down there. Everyone's built different. Like, but I was thankful. I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. Like, if I wasn't irritated and if my cervix was closer, like, no biggie. Like, that was not a big deal. My cervix is completely closed. And she was like, that's good. And the only reason I let them check me, she was like, we're going to check you. And then if your Braxton Hicks continue, and we keep you for 4 hours, we're going to check you again before you leave to make sure you're not dilating. So I was like, okay, yeah, go ahead and check me. So it really wasn't that bad. Braxton Hicks hurt though. Not a fan. And I do this thing where I start to like psych myself out, and my mom's like, you're gonna make it worse. And when it comes to actual labor, I need to learn to relax and breathe. And it's hard though, because when you're in pain, like, your immediate reaction is to like tense and like try, but I was like, okay, I learned to like relax and all that. Jacob though, so he is someone where when he's hurt, he does not want to be touched. He does not want you around him. He does not, no, like, leave him alone. If he's not feeling good, nope. I'm someone where if I am not feeling good emotionally or physically, I need you to smother me. I want to be crushed. Like, I need you holding me as much, like, with as much as your body as you can fit around mine type situation. Like, I'm crazy, okay? So I was in pain, and Jacob was like, and I was like, get over here. We actually ended up having a fight about it, and it didn't go well because I was like really frustrated. Like, why wouldn't you just come comfort me? And he was like, because I don't know how. And I was like, hold me and tell me you're here with me. And he's like, but I am here. And I was like, no. So we had to talk about what I want and what I think I want going into labor. Now, my parents and Jacob and I are all aware. My parents pointed this out. I may go into labor and be like, get away from me. But I told him that is what comforts me. That's what's going to keep me calm, especially when I'm laboring at home. That's what's going to help me relax. And like, I want you to smother me and love and affection and hold me and kiss me. Like, that's what I want. So we did have to have a talk about that, about don't stand there like, don't do that. Physically, other than my hips hurting and occasionally having Braxton Hicks, I feel pretty good. My joints are kind of achy today, and I just feel like, when you feel like you're starting to get sick, I keep feeling that way, but it's been like a week and a half. Like, I'm not actually getting sick. I'm just pregnant. And this has happened multiple times in my pregnancy where I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting sick. And then I'm like, I'm just pregnant, because I feel the same way for like up to 2 weeks. And it just sucks. I just don't feel good. And then not sleeping isn't helping. I'm like nauseous, and I just feel like, when you just kind of feel achy and you just feel a little off. That's how I felt for like a week and a half now. So I'm just like, great. It kind of takes a toll on my mental health personally. So I'm trying to be like extra kind to myself and listen to my body. And I got ready today because it helps me feel better emotionally a little bit. I'm also struggling when it comes to cleaning. Like, I will just go, and I want to go fast. I want to get stuff done. And my body is like, no. Yesterday I was vacuuming and my hips were kind of hurting. And then all of a sudden my right leg was like, shoddy we out. Like, my whole leg just went numb. And I was like, I should probably sit down for a minute. And it's nothing like concerning. I'm not going too hard, but like yesterday also I was moving stuff out of the nursery so we could bring a dresser in, and then I started having Braxton Hicks because I was moving stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, we need to listen to our body a little bit better, Maddie, and not be a stubborn hatch. Better about that, but it's hard. And it's just a lot more work. Everything takes me a lot longer. It feels like a lot more energy. And then like if I'm having to bend down and do things, it's a lot more work because I have like this weight on the front of my belly. Mentally, I've been doing pretty good. The other night, I just started crying. Jacob was like, you know, what's going on? And I was like, I just don't want to be pregnant anymore. And I feel like at this point in pregnancy, that's normal. And I know y'all are like, girl, you still have 6 weeks. Most of the time, I'm very content to be pregnant. I enjoy feeling her move. I'm enjoying this. But the other night, like, I was having heartburn. I was so sleep deprived. And then, like, I've been having trouble getting comfortable in bed. So I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And Jacob was like, okay, we're getting there. So yeah, I feel birth is gonna hurt, but I am also excited because like I'm gonna get to meet my baby and bring her home and, you know, start that journey. It's not anything I can't handle because I have to handle it. And so I'm trying to just have this mindset of like, when it starts, we're just gonna do it. Like, it's gonna hurt. We're just gonna ride it out. We're just gonna do it. You know, I want to labor at home for as long as possible because if you get there too early, they'll send you home anyway. So I just want to have a relaxing time at home. That's something my nurse and I have been talking about. Like if my water hasn't broken, taking a bath, and if, you know, taking a shower. I'm pretty sure I can take a shower even if my water's broke, but I need to hurry up and get to the hospital. Eating before I go into the hospital. So sitting around eating things that I enjoy eating, watching a movie, and just having, like, I've already coming up with ideas of things that I'm going to do while I'm in early labor. And this is something, doing things that you enjoy can also help you feel better, like pain-wise. So yeah, I don't think I'll be here completely alone. So in early labor can last 12 plus hours of you being at home. So I don't think I'm going to call Jacob home right away, right after I'm like, oh, I'm actually in labor. If he's at work, I'll be okay. I'm sure my mom can come be with me. I know I'm not going to want to be alone because I'm going to like freak myself out. I'm going to want someone here to eat with me and like sit in the bed with me and watch a movie and help me take care of my animals. Will it be Jacob that I call home right away? I don't know. If he wants to, yeah, I'll let him know like, hey, I'm in labor, but it's probably like, it's going to be a long time. So you can just vibe up there. Or if he wants to rush home, that's fine. I don't know. We don't know how much vacation time he's getting to be at home with me. And if it's only a week, I don't want to spend one of your days with me laboring at home, and then like 2 days in the hospital, and then I only get 4 days here with him like that. I would rather have time with him after she's here. So when I'm laboring, especially in the beginning, my mom can come help me time contractions. If Elizabeth's home, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to come over. My dad works from home. Like, I feel like I'm going to have plenty of people to choose from to come hang out with me, and I'm someone that wants that. I understand that some women may be like, I just want my husband and everyone else can get away from me. When we go to the hospital, it will just be Jacob and I. Even if COVID wasn't a thing, it would still be Jacob and I. And if COVID wasn't a thing, I also wouldn't be having visitors at the hospital. Kudos to women that do that. No, no. I was just like, my body just did things. And I don't need you in there while I'm trying to recover and spend time with my newborn. Absolutely not. I love y'all, but no. So yeah, I'm also a little bummed about this mask mandate thing because it is going to mean, you know, more cases of COVID, and it is going to mean waiting even longer to meet everybody, because even if my friends and our family wear masks, when they go out around people that aren't wearing masks, you know, it's just dangerous. And so if we go no masks here in Texas, like they're going to in a couple days, my parents are talking about like pulling Carter home from school, like keeping us all here as much as possible. Elizabeth has to go to work outside my parents' home, my sister, and then I don't live with my parents. I'm kind of making it sound like I do. I live right next door to them. Jacob does work outside the home as well. So yeah, there's all that. But I don't really have to leave except for my appointments. And then I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, I am excited. Oh, I'll show you on my bump. I always forget to do that. So she's big. She hasn't dropped. I look like I have a fake belly on. So can y'all see good? I can also insert some pictures. So she looks fake. My bumpus. My stretch marks. Yeah, I have stretch marks down my side here, and then the front of my thighs and my inner thighs, but I haven't got any on my belly really, except for my belly button piercing. Oh, and my belly button's starting to come out. Why does it look like that? My belly hair. I shaved my belly before I got pregnant because I just have a lot of belly hair, and then being pregnant made it worse. And then, yeah, I just don't care enough to shave it now, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. What is that? Why does my... Okay. To follow along on our pregnancy journey and meet our little girl when she gets here. So, all right, I'm gonna go. Bye, guys.